These are the exact times I have been warning America about for almost, 15 years, 20 years now. It is why I spent so much time on Israel and the Jewish state and Martin Luther King for so many years, because this is part of what always happens in a world that goes mad with socialism and Marxism. It always comes with massive anti-Semitism. And we're seeing it now in our universities. We're seeing it everywhere. And it's apparently not that disturbing for a lot of people. I think everyone should be talking about this at lunch and dinner, at the water cooler. You know, wherever you're hanging out and talking about things, there is nothing, I think, more important than this. Because once anti-Semitism is this, it's this gateway to hell. It is a gateway to hell. And I just ask, if you are not Jewish, I'm not Jewish, I just want you to imagine what it must feel like having your children at a university today, or you at a university, or just being Jewish. We've seen this movie before. It's not like, oh, well, they don't really mean it. Oh, yeah, no, they do. And when they're chanting this at the University of Pennsylvania, there's only one solution. That's not even veiled. They're talking about the final solution, which was so horrific, they never said the extermination of all the Jews. They gave it a code name, the final solution. They didn't even want people to know about it, but apparently everybody on the left here in America and around the world are all for just letting it rip. That should terrify non-Jews, let alone anyone of Jewish descent. Julia Wax is a law student at Georgetown University. God love her. She's also Georgetown Law Zionist co-president. And Brooke Goldstein joins us. She is the Lawfare Project founder and executive director and author of End Jewish Hatred. Julia, Brooke, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you for having us.
You bet. Julia, let me start with you. What are you experiencing and others experiencing on campus?
I'd like to say that this is not just happening at Georgetown. It's happening on campuses
everywhere.
Across the United States.
And the world.
And, the world. And what we're experiencing is our student groups and students individually who are posting on social media things that basically are anti-Semitic rhetoric, things that are denying the events that happened this past week in Israel, denying the beheading of 40 babies, saying that the Nova incident and the music festival didn't occur, trying to say that AI is how all of this is being generated, posting, from the river to the sea, Palestine should be free. They are promoting events and rallies, one of which I went to try and understand. I went undercover, and they started chanting, "We don't want no Jew state." And they started chanting, Zionism will fall, and globalize the intifada. And I don't even think these people understand that the language that they're shouting is anti-Semitic. It's so deeply embedded at this point that it's time for us to take a stand and speak out.
My staff prayed for you, Julia, and people like you today that are on campuses all over the world. That you have strength and I don't even know what else it would take, but that the Lord would be with you. Brooke, what is your involvement in this? I know you've written a book on ending Jew hatred, but the Lawfare Project, what is that?
So first of all, Glenn, I want to thank you so much for your moral clarity, because this is a time when we need leadership and we need people like you speaking the truth. It is absolutely very scary. And what we're doing at the Lawfare Project is we provide pro bono legal support to Jewish students on campus who are facing a hostile environment that targets them because they are Jewish. And I want to make absolutely clear, and you said it in your intro, this is not about a Palestinian state. This has nothing to do with politics. This has everything to do with Islamist, Nazi-like Jew hatred.
Yes.
And the people that Julia was talking about before, they are akin to Holocaust deniers. They are the new Hamas Holocaust deniers. And it's always those who deny the truth and denying the truth of this recent genocide, because that's what it was, a genocide, that want to commit the same acts of atrocities again. And that's exactly what Julia is saying they are chanting on campus. And Jewish students around the country are feeling unsafe. So it is incumbent on the administration, the Biden administration, who has been giving wonderful speeches standing with Israel, to stand with the Jewish population within the United States. That is absolutely paramount. And to do everything they can to root out these terror-supporting, terror-affiliated groups like SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, and groups like Wall Palestine. They must get off our campuses because you said it yourself, Glenn, this is a national security threat for the United States.
So, guys, I mean, this is so deep, and because I've been watching it. I've been watching it and looking for it since 2005. 2003, and watching it grow. And it is in everything now. It is Black Lives Matter. When people stood up, I kept saying, you can't stand with these people. You might think that there's a problem with the police. You might think there's a problem. Well, good, let's talk about that and solve it. But these people are trying to destroy Israel. They're trying to destroy the traditional family. I mean, how are you going to stop this in our universities? It came from the universities.
Well, I think it's really important for your audience to understand the influence of foreign funding. People in the counterterrorism community have been warning about the billions and billions of dollars coming from states like Qatar, which is the second largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, that are funding our institutions.
Go ahead.
Pardon, Julia?
I believe Georgetown has a campus in Qatar as well.
Who does?
Yes. Tell us about that, Julia.
I don't know too much, but Georgetown does have a campus in Qatar.
How is it that our administrators are taking hundreds of millions of dollars per campus? They're not registering as foreign agents. They're not disclosing the memos of understanding. What are the terms of these agreements? I guarantee you this money we know is going to diversity, equity, inclusion. It's going to critical race theory. It's going to fund students groups. And it's going to radicalize Americans to turn not just against Israel, but against America.
Julia, what does it, I don't know if you can even answer this. What does it feel like to be a Jew today?
It requires a lot of perseverance. I'm definitely one of the loudest voices on my campus when it comes to this subject. And I'm trying to stay strong for a group of people because I do have students that are unable to focus and are forced to sit in a classroom with students who promote these rallies. I have students texting me that they are scared to come to class. Students who are removing their Star of David necklaces, students who have removed their Israeli flags from their lockers. It's a hostile environment. You walk down the street and you don't know who's for you and who's against you. And I think it's important to note that this used to be a very fringe group of people on the university campuses. This used to be a very fringe, far left group. And now it's the majority. And now, quite honestly, on campuses across the United States, it feels like the majority is against us. And yesterday we hosted a survivor from the Nova Music Festival on our campus. In 24 hours, I was able to get her to come and speak. And before I think I questioned, how could the Holocaust even have occurred? How could something so horrific to my people even have occurred? And after last night and listening to this woman speak, this woman who is similar in age to me, who looks like me, who's from a similar background to me, and hearing her give her story about running away from the terrorists, having friends who died as she sprinted forward, now I know. And it's a staunch and haunting realization as a Jewish person to have, to be sitting in that room with 40 other Jewish students, listening to this woman who looks like us, who is one of us, speak about being persecuted. And anybody who denies that Hamas is not a terrorist organization is part of the problem and is someone who is spewing anti-Semitic rhetoric and making this a much more globalized issue.
And Julia, weren't you saying also that the survivor was then further taunted when she's come and tell her story on campus? She did speak on the fact that even in America, she does not feel safe as a Jewish woman. That she had friends who asked to have their locks changed. That, she still does not feel safe even being here in America due to what she's seeing occur, specifically on campuses. Campuses are the think tanks of America. This is where all of our legal ideas, this is where our new educational ideas stem from. And it astounds me that we're looking at the most prestigious universities in the world, Harvard, Georgetown, Columbia, Stanford, Yale, all of these massive organizations. And they have people at their organizations, and it's not just 1, 2, or 3, it's hundreds of students that are shouting this rhetoric and making it unsafe for us.
Will you please keep my phone number with you? If there is anything I can ever do or my organizations can do for you, please reach out. I want you to know, a long time ago, before I brought my family to Israel, I brought them to Auschwitz. And I told them that you can't understand Israel unless you understand Auschwitz. And I asked each of them to read a book of one of the righteous among the nations because I wanted my family to decide who we would be long before any of this stuff would happen again. I want you to know I am not alone and you are not alone. There are millions of us that stand with you. We know the past. We know what the future can be if we remain silent again. And you will always, always have a place at my table. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
God bless you, Julia.
Glenn, I want to say one thing. It's just so important before we end. You said there are millions out there. We need you to be vocal now. What can you do to help the Jewish community? You can call up the administration at Georgetown right now, today. Flood them. Flood their email inbox. Make sure that you're calling them every single minute, demanding they create a campus that is safe for the Jewish students, demanding they kick off the student groups off campus that are taunting Jewish students and making it unsafe to exist there. That's how we could use your help.
We will do it. Thank you so much.